All right, one of the questions we get a lot here on this story is when are the statues that were taken down in 2020, when are those going to come back? They've been sitting in storage for nearly 4 years now while city leaders decide what to do with them. But now we do know that some of them are coming back, but not anytime soon. Statues of Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, George Washington, former Oregonian editor Harvey Scott, and a sculpture called The Promised Land, showing a family holding a Bible and a gun, were sprayed with graffiti and toppled by protesters. They felt the figures celebrated racism, slavery, and colonialism. The Thompson elk statue was also defaced. There are folks on both sides of the argument, of course. Some want the statues fixed and returned. Others don't. City leaders have listened to pretty much everyone. Now there are plans to bring back the presidents and the elk, but the other two statues, Harvey Scott and the Promised Land, they are not coming back. The statue of George Washington will be moved to a new spot. It had been at Northeast Sandy and 57th since 1926. Right now, Washington is still in storage and needs to be repaired, but he'll eventually be moved to Washington Park, which, seems fitting. Lincoln is also in storage and needs to be fixed up, but he'll eventually be returned to his spot in the South Park blocks. Protesters pulled the statue down during an October 2020 Indigenous Peoples Day of Rage. Theodore Roosevelt was also targeted by protesters for his treatment of indigenous people, but his statue will also be returned to the South Park blocks eventually. The statues of Harvey Scott and the Promised Land will not be coming back. Harvey Scott was a racist and a misogynist, and the city says the Promised Land was an inappropriate and inaccurate portrayal of the settlers of Oregon, excluding other races and religions in the state and insensitive to indigenous people. And the elk, oh my gosh, the elk. We get more comments about that elk than any other statue by far. The elk will be returning to its same spot between Chapman Square and Lonsdale Square in downtown Portland. Repairs to the elk have been made and groundbreaking for the new fountain is set to start this fall, and you can bet we will cover that.